They claimed I was an alcoholic teen with behavioral issues, and even my friends believed it until my estranged sister returned and saved my life. My dad shoved me across the coffee table and let out a grunt. "You're a useless disappointment. Can't even keep your brother in check." I was still trying to catch my breath on the floor when he kicked my legs and told me to get out. I didn't respond. That night, I sat crying on the bathroom floor while he yelled for me to clean the kitchen. I called my sister Callie, sobbing. That was the moment everything inside me broke. Callie was always the loud one, the one who never put up with his crap. My parents used her as a warning. Don't be like Callie, be quiet, be small. They pinned all the family's problems on her instead of the man who raised his fists. She used to stand up for Liam and me. I remember being 12, wearing jean shorts on a family trip to Hawaii. My dad smacked my thigh and made some nasty comment about my weight, even though I was already 32 at the time. Callie slapped him right back and said no one needed to see the bruises on her back either. Everyone started screaming at her like she was the villain, and I joined them. Back then I thought answering back was worse than the abuse itself. I couldn't have been more wrong. Liam used to be sweet. He'd comfort us, say we were beautiful, treat us with kindness, but over the years, that poison seeped into him too. By 16 he was already burning with anger just like Dad. Callie never changed though. She stayed strong even when crying in front of everyone. That was our family dynamic. Callie fought, Liam raged, and me, I just gave up. The night before Callie's STS exam we were having dinner when she told Liam to chew with his mouth closed. He lost it, told her she'd flunk the tests and fail at life too. She ran off in tears. Dad started yelling, and Callie looked at me, asking why I always ruined everything. I blamed her. After that night we hardly saw her again. She moved far away, and I never reached out. I truly thought she had torn our family apart, and once she was gone, I became the new punching bag. Dad screamed at me constantly. Liam, he stopped taking orders. He was too volatile now, but Callie, even from afar she still pulled at me. Sometimes she'd just show up to cuss out our parents. I didn't get the point, until that one night when Liam dumped his wet clothes all over Mom's clean laundry. Dad freaked out, but somehow I was the one who got blamed. He dragged me into the living room accusing me of enabling Liam. That's when he shoved me again, and then kicked me. I ran to the bathroom, locked the door and dialed Callie. She told me to breathe, to try to stay calm. I wanted to, I really did, but my whole body was shaking. About 25 minutes passed, then the front door burst open. Callie showed up with her giant of a boyfriend beside her. I froze. My body locked up in fear, but she reached for my hand, calm, steady, and said, "You're coming with me." She took me to this apartment I didn't even know she had. I curled up in the bed while she ordered McDonald's. I couldn't even talk about what had just happened. All I could think about was the Halloween party I'd been planning for weeks, but I never made it. The next morning, my mom texted me. She said I had to come home. She told me Callie was once again tearing the family apart, and I believed her. The moment I stepped back inside, Dad hit me so hard I blacked out. I woke up on the freezing kitchen floor, my head spinning like a top. Dad stood nearby, smug. She passed out, he muttered to no one in particular. Just like Callie. Mom sat behind him like a lifeless doll. I tried to sit up, but everything spun. My head throbbed, and when I touched my back, I felt this massive bump. "Get up," Mom snapped. "Dinner's getting cold." I stumbled into the dining room. Liam sat on his phone, completely checked out. Then Dad launched into another lie. "Your sister had a heart attack again. Came home drunk, yelling, and collapsed." I tried to speak, but he slapped me. I mumbled something. Liam looked up with disgust. "Are you drunk?" Dad shook his head. "Just like Callie. She's started drinking too now." Mom chimed in. "You're watching the kids tomorrow, Whitaker. We need the cash." Then Dad looked at me with fire in his eyes. "Unless you're saying you're no longer part of this family." Right then my phone buzzed. "Callie." I grabbed it before Dad could snatch it away. "I need to go to the hospital," I whispered. My head. "Nope." Dad cut me off. I was actually thinking of stopping by Callie's place. "What's the address again?" My stomach dropped. He was threatening her. He knew. "I'll stay," I muttered. "Good choice," he said with a grin. "Now call your friends. Tell them you got drunk and we had to take care of you." I stared down at my untouched plate as tears streamed silently down my cheeks. The phone buzzed again. Friends wondering where I was, asking about my costume. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "For what?" Mom asked like she was confused. "Louder," Dad barked. "That lady Whitaker needs to know what kind of daughter we're raising here." I forced the words out like they were made of glass. "I'm sorry for being a problem. I'm sorry I came home drunk." Through the window I saw the woman Whitaker pause on the sidewalk. She heard. I'm sure she did. After dinner I locked myself in the bathroom again. My pupils looked off uneven. I remembered what we'd learned in health class, a sign of a concussion, but I couldn't leave. If I left, he'd go after Callie. Back in the kitchen I noticed a dark stain on the counter. It was my blood. I grabbed a cleaner but froze. What if someone saw it? "What are you looking at?" Liam asked. "Nothing," I replied. He shrugged. Dad's right, you're acting just like Callie, the drama queen. I wanted to scream. My head was spinning, but Liam thought I was just putting on a show. My phone buzzed again. Callie, are you okay? I started typing back. I'm fine. Don't come. But then Dad appeared behind me and took the phone. So you're not okay, and you're telling Callie to stay away, he said. Sounds like you're up to something. I'm not, I said quietly. He slid the phone into his pocket. You need a break for your own good. That night, I lay in bed with the walls closing in. My head was pounding. My vision kept blurring, and I could hear my parents whispering through the wall. She needs to talk to the college counselor, Mom said. She's not alone, Dad answered. I'll sign whatever's needed. But she's not lying about this family, Mom added. And if she brings up tonight, who's gonna believe her, he replied. She said the neighbor was drunk. Her friends heard the same thing. He laughed. Sometimes I impress myself. The next morning, Mom woke me up suddenly. Get up, you've got class. Everything hurt, but I went through the motions like a ghost. At breakfast, Dad sat at the table scrolling through my phone. Just checking for anything inappropriate, he said. At school, the lights were brutal. By third period, I tripped and nearly fell into someone's chair. Rough night? Nate asked. Before I could respond, the teacher walked in. You look pale. Go to the nurse. The nurse studied me and frowned. Have you been drinking? No. Your pupils are irregular. I need to call your parents. Please don't, I whispered. Too late. 20 minutes later, Mom walked in, her voice soft and worried. She came home drunk, she told the nurse. We tried to manage it, but she needs help. The nurse nodded. Teen drinking is common. I sat there in silence. No matter what I said, it would all sound like a lie now. By lunch, the rumors had spread. Everyone thought I came to school drunk. Emma, my friend, sat next to me, but cautiously. You missed the party, she said. My mom said you've been struggling since your grandma died. That was 2.5 years ago. Sadness can come in strange ways, she said. Maybe I need to give you some space. She stood up and walked away. After school, I waited by her car, but her mom got there first. I think you should find another ride, she said. The walk home took almost 50 minutes. Every step made my head throb. Dad was already home. His walkie-talkie sat in the garage. Inside, he was on his laptop. Your teacher sent your college forms, he said. I'll sign them. Can I sign them? I asked. He hesitated. No, I need to review them first. Then he handed me my phone. Your sister keeps messaging. I told her you're in trouble, that she's not helping. That night, our family group chat was buzzing. My aunt added me back in. My parents were painting this picture of a troubled teenager. Mom said she found empty bottles in my room. Dad said I was paranoid, collecting evidence against them. Then my cousin jumped in, and Callie. They shared screenshots, out-of-context messages, angry selfies. It was all too perfect, like the lies had been prepared in advance. I couldn't take it anymore. Later that night, I went downstairs for water and froze. The bloodstain was gone. The recipe box was open. Inside, instead of recipes, were strange notes. Take him bowling. Physical activity helps. Don't serve pasta on Thursdays. They weren't recipes. They were survival tips, instructions on how to deal with him. I couldn't sleep after that. From behind me, Mom spoke. Getting water? She asked. You should be more careful. Head injuries can leave people confused. Back in bed, I realized something chilling. She knew. She'd been tracking his moods. She wasn't trying to escape him. She was managing him. She wasn't blind. She was complicit. At breakfast, Dad proudly announced he was coaching softball, giving back to the community. He was building a perfect public image. I recognized it. I used to do the same. Create a version of myself that no one would question. At school, we were studying unreliable narrators. I couldn't help but notice the irony. Now I was one too. No one believed me anymore. You okay? My teacher asked. Yes, I lied. We both knew I wasn't. That day, I made a choice. I started paying attention to everything. No phone, no proof, just memory. I took mental notes. Dad forged a note in my handwriting saying I volunteered to watch the kids. I didn't remember doing that. Maybe I had, maybe not. I couldn't even trust my own mind. Whitaker's kids were sweet, but every laugh rattled in my skull. When their mom got home, she said, if anything seems off, my sister's a behavior therapist. Behavior, not trauma, not abuse. I smiled and said thanks. When I got home, my phone had been turned off. All my messages with Callie were gone. A new one had appeared. Hey, Dad explained, please don't contact me. I need to focus on healing. That wasn't Callie. She'd never write that. But I had no way to prove it. Downstairs, Dad was on the phone. She's obsessed with her sister, keeps showing up at her work. We had to intervene. Who was that? I asked. Callie's roommate. She's worried too. He showed me the call log. Dozens of calls to numbers I didn't recognize, places Callie used to go. I didn't make those calls. You just don't remember. I thought I was losing my mind. Maybe I actually was. Maybe the hit on my head did something to me. I need some air, I said. Be careful, he warned. I don't want you getting hurt. I walked to the park and sat down on a bench. I tried to remember who I was. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered, but nothing came through at first. Then a whisper, it's Callie. I borrowed a friend's phone. Are you sure? I asked. I didn't say yes. I just stayed quiet and listened. Can you meet me at the library tomorrow after school? I'll try. End the call. I love you. Click. I ended the call, my heart racing. Callie hadn't given up. She was out there still finding ways to reach me. That night, I fell asleep holding on to that tiny thread of hope. The next morning, something about the house felt off. Dad was glowing. His softball team had won their first game. The community loved him. Mom made eggs and acted like everything was normal. The recipe box was gone, tucked up high, out of reach. At school, people stared. My parents had found the online posts I wrote about rules and parent groups. Someone's mom, a pharmacy tech, told her daughter she saw my dad picking up anxiety meds for me. I had never taken any medication, but it didn't matter. People believed it. After the final bell, I took the longest path through the park. The library was quiet. Callie was in a corner, tucked behind a reference book. She looked older, exhausted. Her hug was strong but careful. She gently rubbed the bump on my head. She passed me a notebook. "Just in case they're recording," she whispered. I wrote everything about the attack, the fake messages, the bloodstain, the lies. Her face tightened with each page. She wrote back, "Same pattern, it always gets worse." We exchanged notes for nearly an hour. She told me what might happen next, what to expect. Before I left, she scribbled one last thing: emergency phone taped under the sink in the park. Use only if things get worse. I downloaded the notes before leaving. When I got home, Dad was waiting. My school counselor was sitting next to him. "We've noticed some concerning signs," she said gently. "Falling grades, isolation, possible substance use." Dad nodded, full of fake concern. "We're doing everything we can to help." They talked about therapy, outpatient programs, even medication. I didn't say a word. That night, I checked the park sink. The phone was there, taped underneath, just like she said. I didn't take it yet, but just knowing it was there made me feel a little safer. Next morning, they told me I'd start therapy. It was with Mrs. Whitaker's sister, an expert in behavioral issues. Everything I said in those sessions got twisted. Dad's abuse turned into my acting out. My confusion was labeled paranoia. The therapist's notes only made his story stronger. Back at home, Dad installed a tracker on my phone. Mom started checking my room every day. They found my journal, read parts out loud at dinner, and laughed about it with the relatives. Liam said I was just like Callie, crazy. The family group chat filled up with praying hands and generic support. No one asked how I really felt. Even when I tried to send an email to my teacher from the library, Dad found out. He told the librarian I had restrictions due to cyberbullying. Another door slammed shut. Meanwhile, Dad's reputation just kept growing. Parents praised him as a role model. He reused the same motivational lines he used to scream before hitting us. At home, new bruises showed up on my wrists, my back, but there was always a reason. She fell. She's self-harming. The therapist added treatment options to her notes. My parents pretended they weren't sure what to do yet, but I saw their plan. One day I went into the attic and found something unexpected: an old suitcase. Inside were job applications, apartment listings, and a draft letter to a women's shelter. All of it was 5 years old. Mom had tried to leave once. She couldn't. Then came the phone call. They were enrolling me in a therapeutic boarding school, just to try it. I'd be gone all summer, maybe longer. I cried that night, not because I was scared, but because everything was falling into place so perfectly. They were erasing me. 2 weeks before I was supposed to leave, we started packing. All the paperwork was forged, clean, perfect. But then, small cracks started to show. The school asked for official medical records. Something didn't match. Diagnostic codes were inconsistent. Dad lost it on a call with the admissions director. We rushed to the therapist's office to clear things up, but even they were suspicious. They discovered my records had been edited. They wanted to speak with me alone. That session was the turning point. I confirmed just enough to validate their concerns. They opened a formal review. The boarding school delayed my admission. Dad was furious. At home, the pressure was unbearable. But now people were watching. Even Liam's girlfriend stayed longer. She started seeing things. When Liam exploded, she touched his arm and he stopped. She was paying attention. Then the school stepped in. A social worker asked to speak with me. Dad couldn't stop it. There were state protocols now. A date was set. The therapist's office uncovered serious irregularities, altered session notes, mismatched billing codes, conflicting diagnoses. They were legally obligated to report it. Suddenly, my father's options began to shrink. The boarding school permanently rejected my enrollment. His perfect plan had collapsed. The social worker came. She started asking hard questions. My father smiled through every one of them and lied with ease, but I gave calm, careful answers, just enough to raise her suspicions. She scheduled follow-up appointments. Now my parents were under real scrutiny. In response, they tightened their grip. More surveillance, more medication, more gaslighting. But it wasn't working like before. They couldn't twist the truth so easily anymore. People around us started whispering. Dad's precious softball team disbanded. Other parents had begun to complain. His temper was showing during games. The perfect dad image was cracking. Liam's girlfriend and others who were around more often became quiet witnesses. She offered little signs of support, a knowing look, a book left in the open, tiny acts of rebellion. Liam acted like he didn't see any of it, but even his walls had cracks. Then the therapist's report reached the licensing board. My dad's grip on the narrative was slipping fast. The school was watching. The social worker started visiting once a month. I returned to class with a new kind of awareness, and little by little, the system started to believe me. Callie stayed in contact through the emergency phone. She had moved to a nearby city. She was rebuilding, getting ready, preparing a place for me. My 18th birthday became the destination. Dad was still trying to control everything. But now the walls were finally closing in on him. The night before my birthday, I packed a small suitcase, only the essentials. At sunrise, I left for school and didn't come back. Callie found me hours later, tears in her eyes. Her apartment was warm, quiet, safe. The emergency phone had done its job. I was free. My mom sent one last message. It was a recipe card with an address written on the back. Her sister's place. A silent apology. She knew. She had always known. They filed a missing person report. There were checks, follow-ups, questions, but my documentation protected me. The therapist confirmed I had left voluntarily. The social worker backed me up. I wasn't the same girl who wore jean shorts in Hawaii anymore. I worked part-time, finished school, and got into college on scholarships Dad could never touch. Callie brought me to campus, both of us crying. Not just because I had made it, but because I hadn't forgotten who I was. The girl they tried to erase was still here.